Hi, thank you, Susan. My name is Jules Urbach. I'm the CEO and founder of Otoy. We're best known for our unbiased GPU render Octane, and also for the Render Network, which is a decentralized network of GPUs that supports Octane Render and a couple of other renders from our friends on this panel, including Redshift and Arnold. I would say that for us, Octane's been out for now 12 years. It's been a really long and interesting journey. I think that real time is definitely the next immediate step for path tracing. And I think production path tracing in real time in particular is what video games need. It's what engines like Unreal are sort of pushing towards. They now have a path tracer in Unreal. And I think that the convergence of these things from cinema and games ultimately isn't necessarily the metaverse, but it does feel like virtual production is a case where you want to have things running in real time that are rendered pretty much perfectly. Why don't we load the video so I can sort of go through some of our videos and slides. Looking at the last 10 years, I think, we had Octane initially as a still render and then animations, and then we started to see mid-decade, shows and productions using GPU rendering. And I think today we're pretty much in a place where real time in Octane is pretty well covered. I mean, on the right, you see our full production rendering system. On the left is effectively the same engine, just with real-time mode turned on. So there really isn't a major switch. We're just getting pretty close to brute force path tracing at 30 frames a second on a 4090. And, as Vlado was saying, I think that some of the challenges that we face are being able to do acceleration structure on the device faster for dynamics and other real-time effects. But I think that sort of beyond getting even to real-time with all the benefits that come from ray tracing hardware, AI denoising, and other elements that improve the both the speed of ray tracing and also the ability to shade faster, some of the things that are still limits are data. So getting towards something that allows you to stream unlimited scenes into GPU memory is pretty important. That's something we've been working on. And I think that there's no discounting how important AI is, and neural rendering in particular, to the future of everything relating to ray tracing and rendering. So I think I'm going to sort of show a few more examples here of how these technologies are put into use. Meshless is our version of our streaming technology that is similar to Unreal Engine's Nanite. If you're familiar with Nanite, it's able to load massive scenes from an SSD. And with this technology, we're really not limited to the amount of CPU or GPU memory, either for geometry or for textures. In this case, with 50 megabyte buffers, you're able to stream in gigabytes of data. This is a 64 gig scene streaming in 1 gigabyte of VRAM. And same thing with textures. We can load massive amounts of textures very quickly off of disk. The second technology that I think is pretty disruptive is neural rendering. And earlier, Eric was mentioning how there's a lot of generative AI work being done. I think for us, in our rendering pipeline, we're looking at having basically latent space, neural rendered objects as first order primitives like volumes or meshes. And the first way that users can generate that is just by taking a 3D file or 3D asset in the scene graph and turning that into a neural render, which is what you're seeing here. Some of this technology has been exemplified in NeRFs, but there's many other forms. And so for us, neural rendering is a black box. Whatever you send to the neural network essentially needs to be ray traced. And that leads to a lot of really interesting effects. So, Vlado was mentioning Stable Diffusion and other tools that are out there that allow you with a text prompt to generate images. Our focus has been to provide these services as nodes in a render graph that allow you to, for example, handle displacement or scattering or generate textures and materials or patterns, and ultimately generate scenes, displacement, 3D geometry. Effectively, you can write text for elements in your scene, but I think that we're not going to escape the ultimate endpoint of being able to render what the AI is generating, and mixing that with things that are ground truth. And the ground truth element, I think, is pretty important. I think looking even beyond these next few years, I think augmented reality, ambient computing, going to be pretty important. And if you see my GTC talk, the full one, I'll talk about holographic display panels, which I think are the next generation of hardware beyond even AR and VR. So that's sort of the decade ahead. I want to talk a couple of, if we can load in the next video for a second. Open standards, which have been mentioned by many others, USD, Hydra. This is an example of the render network loading in 2 different renders. Storm, Octane, could be Arnold. And you can do a compositing pass where you can just blend renders together with an OSL shader. And this is really powerful. I think the future is going to be multiple renders being able to be chained together with USD, Hydra, Material X, OSL, and other elements, allowing you to have a pretty standard way of mixing renders, mixing assets, mixing scene graphs. And I think the last bit that I want to also cover with the next video is related to virtual production. This is an example for a Star Trek Roddenberry production where we had 2 actors in a light stage, and we scanned them in at this incredible fidelity. With that fidelity, and this is all rendered live in on a single GPU, we can change the lighting. We can then, apply AI to sort of separate and morph those characters with their own performances. And this work is leading towards many innovations in virtual production, and probably at some point eliminating even the need for an AR, stage or volume. Or LED wall. I mean, there's just such incredible leaps and bounds happening in the virtual production space thanks to real-time rendering, AI, and also really improved scanning techniques. So it's pretty exciting. I think we're also looking at a lot of the technologies that are going into NVIDIA's real-time stack. Rester, which basically allows you to denoise with a single frame. Something that we've already put into use in Brigade and our other techniques that make production rendering faster. And I think that ultimately with AI, you're going to see an explosion of talent and content, but you're still going to have artists get creative with ways to leverage that and create things that still have the human experience at the front and center of the artistic endeavor. Thank you, Susan. Back to you.